Hola clase, Señora AD here, going over for the notes for today, for the new grammar point, which is ser and estar. Now, you guys already know ser and estar individually, but they both mean to be, and we look at them together when we're wanting to describe or talk about things within context. So let's see how we use them together to communicate. Let's see here. All right, you've already learned that ser and estar both mean to be, but they are used for different purposes. The following charts are going to show the key differences between ser and estar and how we use them. Again, you should be taking some notes here. And obviously, if you do need to pause the video at any time, you can. Rewind it, go back to it. You're totally fine to do that. Okay? So let's look at some uses of ser. We use ser to talk about nationalities and where we're from. So if you look at the example, Juan Carlos es argentino, es de Buenos Aires. Again, it's talking about what type of nationality he is and where he's from. We also use ser to talk about occupation and professions. So, for example, Adela es agente de viajes, Francisco es médico. We also use it to talk about characteristics of people and things, again, describing them physically, personality-wise, that sort of thing. So if you notice here, it says José y Clara son simpáticos. El clima de Puerto Rico es agradable. Generalizations. There's a general statement about things. For example, we say, es fabuloso viajar. It's fabulous to travel. Es difícil estudiar a la 1 de la mañana. It's difficult to study at 1 o'clock in the morning. We use ser to talk about possessions. Es la pluma de Jimena, or son las llaves del señor Díaz. We use this form of ser plus the item de, construction, and the thing, and the person who it belongs to. Again, there's no apostrophe s in Spanish. What is it that something's made out of? So for example, la bicicleta es de metal, or los pasajes son de papel. We use it to talk about date and time, like hoy es martes, son las 2, hoy es el 1 de julio, and where and when an event takes place. El partido es en el Estadio Santa Fe, la conferencia es a las 7. Okay. Ojo, atención, every time you see that, make sure you know that. Ser de expresses not only origin, es de Buenos Aires, and possession, es de la pluma de Jimena, but also what a material is made out of. La bicicleta es de metal. Again, it's usually going to be indicating when it's an inanimate object that it will imply what is it made out of. Just so you're aware, I wouldn't necessarily say that for a person necessarily, or an animal. So let's look at some examples here. So you see here, it says, ellos son mis amigos. Literally saying, they are my friends. Or Miguel está enojado conmigo. Okay? So kind of seeing how we're using it. So if you look here, estar is used when we're talking about emotions and conditions, which we've kind of learned about earlier in this lección. But then we also learned ser from last year when we were talking about whose friends are they. Okay? When you look at ser, not ser, estar, there's certain things we use estar for consistently. We always use it when we talk about location or spatial relationships. So, for example, el aeropuerto está lejos de la ciudad. Again, the airport is far from the city. Or tu habitación está en el tercer piso. Your room's on the 3rd floor. For health, we've been using this phrase forever. ¿Cómo estás? Estoy bien, gracias. We describe physical states of conditions. So, el profesor está ocupado. Las ventanas están abiertas, and that's one we really focused on earlier in this lección, as well as emotional states. Marisa está feliz hoy. Yo soy muy enojado con Maru. And then we use it for certain weather expressions. Usually that implies the present progressive in this case. Está lloviendo. It is raining, like it is raining at this very moment in time. Or está nublado. It's cloudy out. And then obviously, again, it's talking about the present progressive tenses here. Estamos estudiando para el examen. Ella está leyendo una novela. Again, things that are occurring right at this very moment. Okay. Well, and remember, there's two acronyms that we use in Spanish to help you guys learn Spanish and knowing the difference, using the differences between ser and estar. And there are two acronyms. One's called doctor and the other one's called place. And if you look here in your notes, you'll see that ser uses for doctor. So I always think of, I want to be a doctor. If I'm going to use doctor, I'm going to use ser. And again, it's describing descriptions, alto, bajo, gordo, delgado, grande, pequeño, etc. Occupations. For example, soy profesora. Characteristics, there we go. Generoso, tacaño, simpático, antipático, etc. We use it for date and time. Origins, like where things are from, or where people are from. And relationship. So for example, you can say, la madre de mi madre es mi abuela. The mother of my mother is my grandmother. We use a star, and we use the acronym of place. And again, a star uses location, so place works really well. So again, we talk about positions, like where things are located in like a small area, and then where things are located in a larger sense. Actions, what's going on, if it's occurring right there, live action, so it's the progressive form, so the ing form. Conditions, so what something is, old, new, broken, opened, closed, sick, that sort of thing. And then emotions, like happy, sad, worried, nervous, etc. Okay. When we talk about ser and estar with adjectives, they sometimes can be used for this with the same adjective, but the meaning will change. So here's some examples of that. Okay. Juan es delgado. Juan is thin. You can say Juan está más delgado de hoy. Juan looks thinner today. Okay. So it means that he's normally thin, but you've noticed he might be even thinner than he appears to be normally. Maybe he lost some weight. Maybe he's been sick, so he lost some weight. Here's another example. Ana es nerviosa. Ana's a nervous person, like in general. You can say Ana está nerviosa por el examen. So at this very moment in time, Ana is nervous because of the exam. She's normally not a nervous person. So if you notice here, when we use ser, it's a little bit more permanent. It's the best way to describe that. Just because it's not going to be changing anything anytime soon. Versus a star can be just for that moment, just for that day. It's a little bit more temporary, is a way that people tend to describe the differences between ser and a star. So in your notes here, it says, in the examples above, or the previous slide, statements with ser are generally observations about inherent qualities of Juan and Ana, meaning they're not going to change anytime soon in any fashion whatsoever. The statements with the verb estar being used are describing conditions that are variable, meaning that they will change over time. They're temporary. Again, that whole idea of is it a characteristic that will stay with them for a long period of time, or is it only going to be there for today? Okay. And then here's some other examples of when the adjectives change in the meaning when using ser versus a star. And you really want to take a note of this, because I know a lot of our assignments will be focusing on this slide particularly. So for example, el chico es listo, the boy is smart or savvy. El chico está listo, the boy is ready. La profesora es mala. La profesora está mala. Like, instead of it, notice it changed from bad to sick. Okay? Jaime es aburrido. Jaime is boring. Jaime está aburrido, is bored. Oop, went a little bit fast there. Sorry. Las peras son verdes. The pears are green. If you say las peras están verdes, it means they're not ripe, meaning they're not ready to be eaten. Okay? El gato es muy vivo. The cat is very clever. El gato está vivo. The cat is alive. Okay? Iván es un hombre seguro. Iván is a confident man. Iván no está seguro. Iván is not sure. Okay? So if you even notice between the same adjectives, some of them change a little bit in meaning. Some change significantly. There's other adjectives like Loco, which means crazy. If I say estoy loca, that may sound like I'm crazy today. Like it's just like I'm just like crazy. Like they're just acting crazy. If I say es loco or es loca, that means like I actually have like I'm certifiably crazy. Like I've been diagnosed with a mental health condition. Okay. Something to be aware of when you're referring to objects. Ser seguro means to be safe. So with objects, so inanimate objects, not living things. So for example, it says el puente es seguro. That means the bridge is safe. Now, if you were think of, you could also say sometimes in English, you say, oh, it's a very old phrase in English. And I would say old meaning more than 100 years old. You could say, this bridge is sure. Like they're sure of it. It means it's sturdy, it's safe. Is the way how that comes apart comes by in English. Okay. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And I hope to see you soon. Adios.